In this video today, we're going to be going through a budget plan in some detail and thinking about the great ways that you yourself can go about setting up your own budget. If you're ready to go, let's jump in. So here we are, guys, on our budget planner website. So you'll see I'm accessing a website called the Money Advice Service that we have in the UK here. And they've got a budget planner tool. So we're just going to click in here. Click get started and you can see that the layout is really sensible. The first part is to look at your pay. Hopefully that's fairly self-explanatory and you'll know exactly what money you've got that fits into those different buckets. We then move on to benefits and tax credits. So again, whatever your circumstance, just populate your number in there and these kind of calculators are going to do all of the really hard number crunching for you, which is great. Another interesting section now is other income, and you'll see here you've got income from savings and investments, board or rent, child maintenance, student loans and grants, other financial support and gifts from friends and family. So this is the first part that I would say let's really think very smartly about some of the things that we put in here and what it really means for us. For example, on Avoiding Broke, we are very big advocates as much as possible of reinvesting any money gained from savings or investments. So when you think about things like compound growth is like the process by which money earns money. So gradually over time you earn interest upon interest, and we are big advocates on Avoiding Broke of making sure we allow that compound effect to really take place, because every bit of additional income that comes in is potentially money we can take and put to one side and invest it. And when you make that investment, you give yourself the chance of earning additional income. You know, student loans and grants, I would really say that we have to be really careful about seeing student loans and grants as a kind of income. A student loan comes with a responsibility to repay. So careful thinking about that as income. So really and truly, income wants to have a level of predictability. Because once you're solid, when you've got a solid baseline for where you see your income, you've got a platform to grow. So you should be quite careful, in our experience, of making your income up of too many unknown factors or too many variables. Then just click through here to household bills. So mortgage or rent payments are standard, other property charges. Often, for example, flats in the UK may well have these different kind of charges. Similarly with insurances, utilities. These are items that are fairly common in a lot of households. A few things that I just want to absolutely make sure we flag. Look for the opportunities to do a price comparison on things like your insurances, buildings and contents. There are some great websites out there that will allow the easy comparison, and you can try to make sure you get the best deal possible. For gas and electricity, similar to your insurance, there are a lot of comparison sites that allow you to actually compare, find the best product, best price based on your usage typically. So it's well worth doing that comparison on a regular basis, whatever at the end of whatever contract term you've reached. And then we'll just say where you look at things like, say, satellite TV, this is an important part to start thinking about which of your expenses are really essential and which expenses you consider to be swell your budget or discretionary expenses. Things like satellite TV are very easy for you to, typically quite easy for you to really reduce your cost on in order to kind of free up some money for you later on. Similarly, things with cleaners or garden maintenance maybe, these are the kind of things that you may be able to just do yourself and again free up some money that would again have a positive impact on your net available cash. So living costs, obviously, depending on your situation, vary greatly. Some of the typical leaks that we would see. Takeaways is definitely a cost. Things like alcohol and cigarettes and tobacco, again, they may be indulgences and things that you quite enjoy. Always think about what's called the opportunity cost. So the benefit you're giving up by enjoying these things. The spending on the alcohol and the tobacco is a cost that you're never going to be able to recover. Whereas when you invest money, you've got the chance of actually gaining more. Where you think about lunches, snacks, takeaway coffees, these are often things that you can just take yourself. If you're in a position where you're just starting out and you're trying to really get a sense of what a budget really means, if you're trying to shape some disciplines, if you're trying to give yourself some really quick wins, These are the kind of quick wins that you can easily jump on. Because what you'll find with a budget which is as detailed as this, and that's why we've chosen this money advice service site as the template, because it's very thorough. When you really look at some of those costs that you could be saving and you add them up, you're going to get you could get a really interesting picture that shows you quite a lot of potential saving. So finance and insurance, as it loads here, to banking, this is where it gets really interesting. Things like overdraft charges and interest and penalties. So these are the kind of things that, as much as possible, you need to be trying to keep at zero. You know, these are great indicators of the kind of financial discipline you have. As we look through things like loans and credit, so you see loans repayment, you see student loan repayments. This is the point I was making earlier. Once you get rid of hire purchase, or you revise and review and revise your hire purchase commitments, you can see some really big positive impacts on your budget. Savings and investment is always important. So when you look here, savings, regular savings, lump sum savings, ISAs, shares and other investments, private pension contributions. My view is these vehicles aren't necessarily essential, so you don't have to have something in all of these different categories. The way we think about our savings and investments, we need to have savings to cater for a rainy day. You know, you've got to be able to withstand certain shocks. Kind of 6 months to a year is a sensible type of buffer. As we go through now to friends and family. So friends and family, some of this, when you look at things like childcare, nappies, baby items, these are some very core expenses that you can't really get past. In some respects, I think some of these could be easily pulled into your living costs because they're actually really, really quite essential. You'll find the same thing with schooling, supporting student children, relatives, again, and pets, really essential expenses that you can't actually escape if you've got those commitments. One of the most interesting things for me here is we had a relatively small number of items of income, and that really only covered one page. But when you break out the expenses and you can kind of see the real level of detail that we're going into here, you're really getting a sense of why budgets can be under pressure, because you've got we had something like 10 lines of income, 10 potential lines, and some of them many people may not even be eligible for right now. So for example, pensions, but we've maybe got 50 lines of different potential expenses, all of which have been deemed kind of fairly common by the money advice service. You know, figure out which of these really apply to you. Really interesting, I see, is a big expense line on a lot of budgets nowadays just for Amazon spend. And the ability to do everything in one click can very easily cause a big line item for Amazon spend. One of the biggest things for me though, when I look at a budget like this, is the type of investment that is arguably most important for us as individuals is in our learning, investment in ourselves. So investing properly in books, training, personal development, growth. For me, the interesting and important thing to do once we've gone through an exercise at this level of detail is to then look and say, number one, what can we start to proactively revise to put ourselves in a better position? What can we start to spend less on in order to make sure we've got a bigger pot of money that we can go and invest elsewhere? Number two is to think, where are the big gaps that we have? So if, for example, we've done our budget, but we don't have a buffer and we don't have money to invest in ourselves, those are arguably big gaps that you want to try and come up with a strategic plan to try and solve. So guys, if you've really liked this video and if you found value, please consider giving us a like and leaving a comment. And if you'd like to hear more from us on Avoiding Broke, we post every week. We're active on many different social media platforms, so please consider clicking subscribe and clicking the bell icon. Till the next video, take care.